Hello again! Did you get a chance to watch Miss Karen read today's story about Abraham and Isaac from the Jesus Storybook Bible? I love that story because through it we get to see how God is faithful. Faithful means reliable, like you can always count on or depend on Him. And it also means loyal. He sticks to His people and He doesn't just abandon them no matter what. So let's take a couple parts of that story together so you can see what I mean. God knew His rescue plan would only work if Abraham trusted Him completely. So the beginning of Genesis 22, in the non-picture version of the Bible, says God tested Abraham's faith. That means God was giving Abraham a chance to show God how true and how strong Abraham's faith really was, but tests of faith also help us to see how faithful God really is. You see, later in the New Testament, in the book of James, we learn that when our faith is tested, it gives us the ability to keep on doing something, even when it's hard or when there are obstacles or even when other people might be against us. Because seeing examples of God's faithfulness helps us to remember what's true about God, and we remember it a little faster and a little faster and a little faster every time. And it makes it that much easier to trust God the next time. Now, Abraham didn't understand why God wanted him to give Isaac as a sacrifice to God, but he had seen how faithful and how trustworthy God had been all those years when he was still waiting for God to give him and Sarah a baby. So when he thought about all those times and thought about God's promises, he knew he could obey. And sure enough, God proved to Abraham again that He was faithful, because as Abraham trusted and obeyed God, God provided the real sacrifice instead of Abraham's only son, Isaac. Abraham, and now Isaac too, had one more memory of God's faithfulness to help them out the next time. I also love how God hides hints about His faithfulness to us throughout the whole story. Did you notice that? Just as God provided the sacrifice for Abraham and Isaac, God provided Jesus as a sacrifice for our sin. And even though Abraham did not have to sacrifice his one and only son, John 3:16 uses very similar language to tell us that God so loved the world that He gave His one and only Son, that whoever believes in Him will not perish but have everlasting life. God made a promise that through Abraham's descendants, all the world would be blessed and people would be able to be right with God again. And God was faithful to that promise. Even though it took a long time, we see that promise fulfilled in Jesus. Now, let's do an experiment and see if you can figure out how it shows God's faithfulness. So I have a little plate with some water, a penny, and just a little dropper here. So I am going to put drops of water onto this penny, and I want to know, how many drops of water do you think are going to fit on the penny? I asked some of you this. Let's see what some of your friends think.
Penny.
10. I guess 24 drops of water on a penny.
We think 3 drops of water fit on a penny.
I think 4. I think 15 or 20 droplets.
Let's find out if you're right. Ready? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. We need more water. Oops. 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18, 19, 20, 21, 22, 23, 24, 25, oh my goodness, 26, 27, 28, 29, 30, 31, oh, 31 tipped it over, 30 drops of water. 30 drops of water fit on that one tiny penny before they all fell off. Can you believe it? That's amazing. That is definitely more than I would have expected looking at that tiny little penny. Do you want to know why that many drops of water fit on there? It's because of something called surface tension. You see, each little drop of water is filled with teeny tiny little water molecules, and each teeny tiny little molecule has a positive and a negative charge, just like the positive side of a magnet and the negative side of a magnet, and they attract, they stick together, right? Well, that's what these molecules are doing. When other molecules are nearby, they want to reach out and they want to grab them, they want to hold on to each other, and that creates surface tension, and it kind of acts almost like a skin that holds all the water together. So now, here's your challenge. How do you think God being faithful is like the surface tension of the water on the penny? Let's hear what a couple of your friends thought.
God's faithfulness to us is like the surface tension on a penny because we want to be with him and he wants to be with us. We stick together.
I think when he talks to people, the more people rely on him, the more people come together and trust him about what he says.
Those are some amazing answers. Here's what I was thinking. Remember those verses in James that told us that when our faith is tested and we experience God's faithfulness, it makes us even better at trusting God the next time and obeying him the next time because we have all those past experiences to hold on to. The way these water molecules each reach out and hold on to each other kind of reminds me of that because they're holding on to each other. They can fit way more drops of water on the penny than we would expect. When God's faithful to us again and again and again, which he promises to be, it all adds up and it gets bigger and bigger and bigger in our minds and in our hearts. And we can hold on to that faithfulness so that we're able to trust and obey with even bigger things. Sweet friends, God is always faithful. He is always with you. He keeps his promises and he never gives up on you. And he's shown it by sending his son Jesus to save you. You are loved. And we'll see you next time.